into his skull. He slammed the receiver down and staggered backward. The TV in the living room turned on by itself. The screen glowed with dozens of profile pictures. Not avatars. Faces. Real faces. Every missing user. Their eyes staring directly into the camera, unblinking. Their mouths moved in perfect unison, though no sound came from the speakers. Then, the picture on the screen changed. It was him. A live feed from inside his house, though no cameras were there. And slowly, his reflection on the screen began to smile. The TV shut off, and Daniel was gone. The next morning, another thread surfaced. The title, "Deleted doesn't mean gone." The username, u/DanielTeacher34, and beneath it, as always, the reply appeared almost immediately. Too late. Redditors began to whisper about it across other subs, hushed threads buried in conspiracy forums. What was happening wasn't a story anymore. It was a system. A ritual. A new pattern was clear. Those who were erased didn't vanish completely. They remained in the code, in the comments, in the silence between keystrokes. Deleted, but still watching. By now, Reddit itself had become infected. That's what people began to say in hushed tones on forums, Discord servers, and even scattered Twitter threads. It wasn't just a handful of strange posts anymore. It was everywhere. Notifications began flooding users' phones and computers at random. Not normal ones, not replies, not messages, not updates. These were different. They came at night, always at night, and always at 3:17 a.m. The stories spread like wildfire. People claimed their phones would vibrate endlessly, a flood of unread alerts piling in one after another. Hundreds, thousands. And yet, when they checked, their inbox was empty. The endless chime of phantom pings became known online as the 317 glitch. But for some, it wasn't a glitch at all. It was the beginning of the end. One of those people was Sophia, a 22-year-old journalism major from Toronto. Sophia had been collecting stories on the no-sleep watcher phenomenon for her university project. At first, she thought it was nothing more than digital folklore, an urban legend born of collective fear and the internet's ability to spread it. But the night she decided to write her final report, the notifications began. It started with a single buzz. Her phone lit up on the desk. Reddit, new message. She ignored it. She was too busy typing, too focused on documenting her research. Then another buzz, and another. Soon, her phone was vibrating non-stop, the sound rattling across the wood like a trapped insect. She snatched it up, heart pounding. The screen was glowing with endless lines of text. New message from you/no sleep watcher. New mention in a thread. Reply to your comment. Hundreds of them, flooding in faster than she could read. Sophia tried to open the inbox, but the app froze. The notifications kept climbing. 500, 1,000, 3,000. The phone grew hot in her hand, the battery draining unnaturally fast. She threw it aside, the screen still pulsing with alerts. Her laptop chimed. She looked up, eyes wide. The same thing was happening on the computer. The corner of her screen filled with non-stop Reddit pings, overlapping each other until the audio glitched into a high-pitched drone. She yanked the Ethernet cable, turned off the Wi-Fi. But the notifications didn't stop. They were still coming. The screen froze for a moment, then flickered violently. And then, she saw it. Her own face. Hundreds of her own face, embedded in the flood of notifications. Each profile picture a warped reflection of her, staring, screaming, smiling too wide. The noise in the room grew unbearable. The pings had shifted into whispers now, each alert carrying her name. Sophia, Sophia, Sophia. Her breathing turned ragged. She slammed the laptop shut, but the sound kept going. She unplugged the phone, pulled the battery, threw it across the room, yet still, the noise continued. It was in the walls, in the air. An endless chorus of notifications, like a swarm of insects crawling beneath her skin. And then, silence. The sudden quiet was worse than the noise. The phone lit up one final time, across the room. One notification. A private message from her own account. She crawled toward it slowly, her stomach tight, her hands trembling. The preview read, "Open the door." Her body stiffened. She turned her head toward the apartment's front door. 3 knocks echoed in the silence. Slow, deliberate. The phone buzzed again. Open it. Her throat closed. Every instinct screamed to stay still, to stay silent, but the handle turned on its own. The door creaked open. Sophia's scream never left her lips. The next morning, Her roommate found the apartment in perfect order, except for the electronics. The laptop was melted, warped by heat. The phone, shattered. The Wi-Fi router, split down the middle. And yet, on her Reddit account, a new thread appeared. The notifications never end. The username, u/Sophia writes, and, buried in the comments, the familiar reply, too late. That night, hundreds of users reported receiving new notifications. Every one of them came at exactly 3:17 a.m. And all of them carried the same message. We are here. By now, the line between story and reality had thinned to nothing. What began as strange usernames, eerie posts, and vanishing accounts had transformed into something physical, something breathing, watching, moving beyond the confines of the screen. It started small. Users reporting shadows in their rooms after reading the threads. Figures caught in the reflection of a darkened monitor. But soon, the accounts stopped being whispers of fear and became testimonies, pleas for help, and then came the videos. The first surfaced on a conspiracy subreddit under the title, "Proof No Sleepwatcher Isn't Human." It was a shaky clip, filmed on a cracked phone. The poster's voice trembled as he whispered, "Something's in my room. It's in the feed. I can hear it breathing." The camera turned toward his laptop, where the Reddit homepage glowed faintly. Every post was the same. Dozens of threads, all under different usernames, but every single title read, "We're almost through." Then the feed began to change. The text warped, shifting in real time, letters bending into unfamiliar shapes. The glow from the screen deepened, no longer white but a sickly blue. And then, something pressed against the glass. A face, not a human one. Not entirely. The outline was wrong, cheeks too sunken, mouth stretched too wide. The eyes, dark voids, locked on the camera. And as the video continued, the screen bulged, like it was straining to let something through. The man's breath hitched. His whisper grew frantic, it's not supposed to." The video cut out. No one ever heard from him again. But it didn't stop there. One by one, similar clips emerged. People filming their screens as hands clawed against the glass, their movements jittering like corrupted files. Comment sections across Reddit filled with reports of monitors cracking, smartphones shattering, shadows leaking from the corners of tablets. And every single account tied to these posts vanished within hours. Deleted. But the footage remained. One survivor's testimony still circulates, though no one knows if it's authentic. A Redditor named Ellie described her experience in a late-night voice memo posted to a friend's private Discord. "I thought it was just stories, you know? Creepypasta, roleplay, whatever. But when the comments started using my name, my real name, I knew something was wrong." Her voice cracked, shaky. "I unplugged everything. My laptop, my phone, even my smart TV. I thought if I cut the connection, I'd be safe." A pause. Breathing. But the screen still turned on. Even without power. And it showed me, sitting there, terrified. Except, I was smiling. And it was moving closer. She choked back a sob. "I don't think these are stories anymore. I think, whatever's inside, whatever's been waiting, it's coming through us. Through our attention. Through the words we keep reading. It's like we summoned it without even knowing." The audio ends abruptly with a shriek, followed by static. Ellie's account is now inactive. The phenomena escalated quickly after that. Entire threads began to sync across the platform, thousands of accounts posting the exact same thing at the exact same time. The door is open. News outlets dismissed it as a hack, but users knew better. Because the ones who saw the phrase on their screens reported the same sensation, the air growing heavy, the temperature plummeting, and the feeling of being watched from the shadows of their own homes. The boundary had shattered. Fiction was no longer fiction. The watchers were flesh now, and they were stepping through. The final proof came in the form of a live stream. A small-time streamer named Brandon went live at 2 a.m., his voice trembling as he told his viewers, "If anything happens to me, just know it's real. They're real." The chat begged him to log off, to leave, to run. But he didn't. Behind him, the glow of his computer screen pulsed brighter and brighter until it illuminated the entire room. And then, a hand slid out of the monitor. Gray, skeletal fingers curling against the desk. The viewers spammed the chat in panic as Brandon froze, his face pale with terror. More of the figure emerged, shoulders, torso, head, its mouth gaping, jaw unhinging far wider than any humans should. Brandon screamed. The stream ended. The VOD never saved. But for the hundreds who watched live, the image was burned into their minds. The watchers weren't just behind the screen anymore. They were here. It began as whispers, then threads, then stories. But now, it had become a truth no one could deny. Reddit was no longer just a platform. It was a gateway, and the watchers had crossed. The final days were documented by a handful of desperate users. Their accounts remain archived in fragments, scattered across forgotten forums and private servers. But together, they tell the story of how it all ended. One user, known only as u/lastwitness, described what he called the final login. I woke up at 3:17. I don't even remember setting an alarm. My phone was glowing on the nightstand, and the app was already open. I don't know how, it was just on. And at the top of the feed was a thread, not one I had subscribed to. Not one I had ever seen. It was titled, "This is your last chance." The post had no text, just a button that said, "Log in." But I was already logged in. Or, I thought I was. His writing grew frantic after that, words blurring into incoherence, as if his thoughts were unraveling even as he typed. I couldn't look away. My fingers moved on their own. I clicked, and then I wasn't in my room anymore. Other testimonies echoed the same pattern. People logging in, or being forced to log in, only to find themselves somewhere else. A place described as a reflection of reality, but stripped bare, dark, infinite. A digital purgatory. Where the watchers waited. A survivor named Claire wrote her final words in a text file found on her desktop after her disappearance. It's endless. Like a dark Reddit feed that never ends, post after post after post, all of them screaming my name. My phone doesn't work here. My laptop doesn't work here. But I can hear them. The watchers, crawling closer. I think this is what they wanted all along. Not to be read, not to be remembered, but to have us here with them. Her file ended mid-sentence, and then came the collapse. Entire subreddits went dark overnight. Millions of accounts deactivated without warning. Some say it was mass hysteria. Others say it was something else, that those users hadn't vanished, but had been taken. By the time moderators began shutting down threads, it was too late. The infection had spread. Other platforms soon reported the same phenomenon. Discord, Twitter, even email inboxes. Everywhere people communicated, the watchers found their way through. Everywhere people looked, the phrase repeated, "You are logged in." The last known message tied to the phenomenon appeared in a Reddit thread that was instantly locked, then deleted. But hundreds screenshot it before it vanished. The post read, "Thank you for reading. We couldn't have crossed without you." And beneath it, a single sign-off. U/no sleep watcher. No one knows how many were taken. No one knows where they are now. Some say the watchers walk among us, hidden behind familiar faces, blending into everyday life. Others believe those trapped in the final login are still there, scrolling an endless feed, their screams echoing into a void that no living soul can hear. But one thing remains certain. If you ever wake at 3:17 a.m., if you ever see a notification you don't remember clicking, if you ever find yourself staring at a thread you never subscribed to, don't log in. Don't even look, because the watchers are still here, and they are waiting. We couldn't have crossed without you. And beneath it, a single sign-off. U/no sleep watcher. No one knows how many were taken. No one knows where they are now. Some say the watchers walk among us, hidden behind familiar faces, blending into everyday life. Others believe those trapped in the final login are still there, scrolling an endless feed, their screams echoing into a void that no living soul can hear. But one thing remains certain. If you ever wake at 3:17 a.m., if you ever see a notification you don't remember clicking, if you ever find yourself staring at a thread you never subscribed to, don't log in. Don't even look, because the watchers are still here, and they are waiting.